to raise an orphan into the Empress. But he was killed on the spot on the day the Empress ascended the throne. But what the Empress doesn't know is, the man launched reincarnation at the last moment, forcing time back in time, and the Empress returned to her childhood. That was when the Empress was still at the orphanage. She thought that Sumo will still protect themselves as they used to. But he chose the white-haired girl. The girl couldn't believe her eyes, but the picture of the past life comes to mind. It was she who entered the palace alone. The white-haired girl killed the Empress. Sumo was originally an earthling who traveled through time as a villain. To change his villainous destiny, I found a young girl in an orphanage, and her talent didn't disappoint me. With Sumo's help, she ascended the throne of Dang. But Sumo was fed poison by her. Feeling the loss of my life, I just stared into her eyes. Is it really worth it? The Empress didn't answer, just fiddling with my nails. Look at the sword she slowly draws. Sumo feels so calm. I once gave this sword to you, and you used it to point at me. The Empress who heard this sentence was also right in her heart. How many years ago was that? The man is suave, but again and again, he protects me. But she still can't be soft-hearted. After you die, I will be buried for you. Looking at a completely different face, a little sadness flashed through my heart. The sword pierced Sumo's chest. But when he opened my eyes again, everything around has changed. Original! It was I who initiated reincarnation at the last moment. After experiencing betrayal, I already understand. There are no trustworthy people in this world. I have done it impeccably in my previous life, but it still can't change the fate. I'm going to start all over again. The butler's voice came from behind. Master Sumo, we will arrive at Xiao Courtyard in half an hour. I can hear this name. The expression is a previous life. I'm the girl who met here. At the same time, in the Xiao hospital, the sound of children playing is very loud. But there is a red-haired girl with a shocked face. I'm dead, right? There were pains in her brain. Obviously, she was still in the hall just now. The imperial city has been invaded. Only 2 eunuchs left to persuade her to move south for refuge. But she who lost the country, I have no faith to live. In front of her stood the bloodthirsty witch. Long time no see. Sister Ruaksu. The name of the comer is Chaoyang. He is also an orphan of Xiao Hospital. But the fates of the two are completely different. You were taken away by Sumo. Enjoy the glory and wealth and become a generation of emperors. I can only compete with wild dogs for food. See all kinds of life. But even so, now you still lost to me. And you know why? Although I understand that victory is a foregone conclusion, but Ruaksu has the emperor's pride. Still makes him unshakable. Just lose. Winner or loser. Just die. But the next moment, a cold voice rang in his ears. Are you a fool? How I used to envy you. But you killed the person who loved you the most with your own hands. You are just a failed emperor. The figure of the man comes to mind. If I could go back in time, I will definitely. Her eyes return to reality. But everything around me is like a dream. Hurry up and change clothes. The nobles are coming to choose us soon. Hear the reminder of the boy next to you. Her eyes widened in an instant. In his previous life, it was at this time that Sumo took her away. There was hope in her eyes again. I will definitely catch you in this life. In the front yard at the same time, a white-haired girl in tattered clothes. But looking at the other partner stunned, she also wants to wear nice new clothes. But a cursing sound came from behind her. Get the hell out in the backyard. Can a noble person be touched by a lowly dog like you? Oh, I won't cause trouble for the noble. His voice was as faint as only you can hear. Fortunately, the shopkeeper did not pursue it. At this time, the prince has arrived in the front yard. Look at that long red hair. My heart hurts again. We will have nothing to do with each other in this life. But without knowing it, Ruaksu is still looking forward to it. You're finally here. The shopkeeper warmly introduced Sumo. These kids generally have good bones. Whether it is taking it back as a maid, it's still suitable to train to die. By the way, Master Sumo, there is a child in here. This child has very good qualities. Master Sumo, look at that red-haired kid. When Sumo looked at the other child, my mind is still a little rough. Just like the first time I met her in the last life. Even if you become a slave, she also has royal arrogance. It's just that the price of this little girl is relatively high. I was just about to interrupt him, but a familiar figure came into view. The thin body huddled silently in the corner. Either way, it looks like a long-term bullying. But the shopkeeper's eyes were full of disdain. She's the worst thing we have here. This child is very ignorant. He shouted the girl's name. Chaoyang, get out. The white-haired girl was shaking with fear. But his eyes are full of stubbornness. When I heard her name, my heart was for a while. It was her. But the girl suddenly bit her lip. It's like a decision. When suddenly looking up, something soft jumped into my arms. I didn't expect her body to be so weak. There was a trace of sadness in her eyes. If you take me away from here, Chaoyang is willing to be a cow and a horse for you. Serve you for a lifetime. The shopkeeper's anger came in an instant. A pair of big hands grabbed the girl. Messy hair. I quickly stopped. My heart has begun to shake. So I will never trust anyone again. But this time, if it is her who is taken away, what kind of story will there be? And she staggered to his feet. A tugging force came from the sleeves. Sir, take me away. Please, the will to live in her eyes. Make it impossible for me to do things. I wiped the tears from her eyes with my sleeve. Tell the little girl in a joking tone. Even if there is hell ahead, would you like to follow me too? But she just nodded obediently. Everything that belongs to the servant belongs to you. Watching the man gradually soften his expression, the red-haired girl began to be confused. What's going on here? The script shouldn't be like this. Obviously, it should be me who was taken away. Obviously, the only person he loves is me. Once upon a time, that tall figure. At this moment, it disappeared in front of her. The shopkeeper is also surprised. Why did he choose the cheapest item? He didn't choose Ruaksu. Chose that white-haired girl again. However, he still tentatively asked, "Do you just want this one child?" And I just paused and slowly turned back. What's the problem? The shopkeeper quickly introduced Ruaksu. You see, this child has really good bones. When I looked at those red eyes, it has disgusted me from the bottom of my heart. Are you trying to dictate my decisions? The shopkeeper was stunned for a moment. He trembled in response. But just then, Ruaksu suddenly rushed forward. She grabbed my clothes desperately. Please. Master also took me. Let's go. It feels like a breeze is blowing across my face. Ruaksu has always been arrogant. This is the first time I've shown this expression in front of me. Sumo stopped. She grabbed my harder and harder. Until I realized. The man in front of him turned back and took her hand. Ruaksu lost her breath. It is better not to be the emperor in this life. As long as I can be with you, it's enough. But the next second, the man suddenly swung it hard. Her body was directly thrown flying, ignoring physical pain. She stared blankly at the man in front of him. Still a familiar face, but that smile made him particularly unfamiliar. As if something had broken. Her heart ached so much that it was about to jump out, and I never looked back at him again. Silently holding the hand of Chaoyang, I just want him alone. But the shopkeeper behind me has a fierce look on his face. If you only take one person away. Also needs 2,000 USD. I smile and turn my head. Human trafficking is illegal in Dang Dynasty. Do you still want money? What if I don't give it to you? The shopkeeper clenched his fist in an instant. Kill him. Two black shadows shot at my vest. But I came prepared. They weren't given time to react. The sword pierced through the chests of the two in an instant. The shopkeeper was instantly shocked. He screamed, "Kill him!" And I'm rushing out quickly. And I just said something, Wang Lao. You got it. Next moment, my figure appeared in front of the shopkeeper. He was so frightened that he cowed out and begged for mercy. The treasures of the house are all yours. However, he was thinking, since you care the white-haired girl, then I'll take him hostage. He instantly picked up one hand and grabbed in Chaoyang. But the next second, his arm disappeared without a trace. And I'm just calm. After wiping the blood off her hands, I gently rubbed the girl's little head. No one can hurt you easily in the future, but you have to do this. I took out a long sword and stuck it in front of her. Kill that guy with your own hands. Chaoyang was a little hesitant. But the memories of the past came flooding into her mind. She has lost his parents since she was a child. Sold into slavery because I'm older. I will be scolded when I eat. I just saw him and didn't kneel down. They kick and punch me. If it wasn't for the fear of being beaten to death, it wouldn't be able to sell at a good price. I'm afraid he has long since left this world. He colluded with profiteers, child trafficking, do all the bad things. Death is not a pity. The man's cold voice rang in her ears. Those who have bullied you, the person who betrayed you, now it's up to you to end their lives. Anger drives the girl to meet. Step by step to the shopkeeper. You'd be dead without me. I gave you food and shelter. The shopkeeper roared unwillingly. But when he saw the girl's eyes, there is despair in my heart. Before he begged for mercy, his legs were cut off one after another. The kid deserves to die. I shouldn't have saved you in the first place. But Chaoyang's next sword did not kill him. Instead, he cut off his only remaining arm. There is only hellish wailing left. A pair of gentle hands patted her shoulder. Well, he's dead. She tried to restrain himself. Don't let your tears fall. Chaoyang will die for you. And I just gently took her hand. Follow me later. Anyone who dares to insult you will die. Give these remaining orphans a sum of money. Let them find their own way. Looking at the man's back without looking back, Ruaksu was bewildered. How could this be? She couldn't understand. Obviously want to make up for the regrets of the previous life. Obviously he belongs to me alone. Did I lose again this time? She gritted his teeth. I can't just die. I can only improve your strength before going to him. Sumo at the same time has brought Chaoyang to the carriage. Are you hungry, little guy? Chaoyang wanted to say that he was not hungry, but Belly, very uncooperative, let out a cooing sound. I didn't do it on purpose. She stood there, almost trembling with fear. A trace of pity flashed through my heart. What kind of abuse did he suffer? It's not okay to be hungry. I ordered the servants to bring some simple meals. But she ate it greedily. It's like she has never had one of these before. But I have experienced betrayal in my previous life. Still keep it in mind. Little guy, if you want to follow me, I have to plant a ban on you. If you don't want to, take some money and get out of here. But her eyes were full of determination. The master is to let Chaoyang die. Chaoyang is also willing. I don't ask anything more. Instead, I touched her messy hair. As soon as the contract arrives, she won't be able to betray me. He did as he was told. The next moment, Chaoyang felt like she was hit in the chest. At this moment, a butler's voice was heard from behind. We have arrived at home. I told my subordinates to arrange a room for Chaoyang. I still have some things to deal with. Come back later. Chaoyang got off the carriage. Everything in front of her made her afraid. There are a lot of strangers. An exquisite pavilion. A room with a faint fragrance. Where she used to live. Like heaven and hell. This will be your room from now on. Hear the butler's order. She was a little scared. My identity is not suitable. Thinking of this, she turned and ran. I'd better go to sleep in the stables. The housekeeper had to smile and comfort. You are the one chosen by the young master. How can you sleep in a stable? A maid will come to change and bathe for you later. I'm going to tell the back chef to cook for you now. There was a warmth in her heart. The master is so kind to me. How can Chaoyang repay you? At the same time, I walked down an alley. According to my calculations, it shouldn't have been taken away yet. A stall not far away. A teenager is bargaining with a stall owner. But the stall owner insists on a minimum of 50 USD. Just as the teenager was about to continue bidding, a cold voice sounded from behind. 100, I want it. Do you think my offer is too low? The shopkeeper naturally dared not offend, since it is something that Master Sumo likes. Small ones don't cost money. Ignore the teenager arguing next to him. I grabbed the jade pendant directly. Original! He is the male protagonist in my novel through. He was a wandering orphan, but he has a rare constitution for seeking souls. In the original plot, he stumbled upon an ancient jade pendant. From then on, he embarked on the road to becoming a god. And since I became the villain's empress, he never showed up again. I hope we won't see each other again in the future. I threw a word and left silently. The boy was unwilling to get up from the ground. Wait and see. One day I will make you regret today. But what I don't know is, not long after I left, a ray of light soaring into the sky attracted the attention of teenagers. That is the fate of heaven. A treasure appears. Could it be that except for the jade pendant here, there are bigger opportunities? And at this time, the jade pendant in my hand also played a role. With my spiritual power injected, 2 rays of light fill my palms. It turned into a book and a disc. This is an ancient magic book. In my previous life, I did my best to cultivate Ruaksu. It is with this treasure that she has become the empress. But I have already tilted in this life. Enhancing one's own strength is king. My destiny should be in my own hands. Just as I was thinking. The body has swayed back to the gate of the palace, but I just stepped into the mansion. The housekeeper reported to me the situation of Chaoyang. The girl is still a little afraid of life these days. She said she was going to the stables to sleep. At the same time, Chaoyang, being groomed by 2 maids, originally fluffy and messy hair. It also becomes extremely supple after washing, scattered behind like seaweed. But she feels a little uncomfortable. Usually in the orphanage he can't even eat. Not to mention this warm hot bath. Master, you don't want to clean me up and sell me off? She was afraid and dived into the water. But now, a few voices outside the door. Hello, Master Sumo. Her little face turned red. Okay, Chaoyang don't know where her clothes were put by the maid. She vaguely heard the sound of pushing the door. She had to pounce and hide in the water through, although she is still a child. But she has long been secretly in love with Sumo. Master Sumo, why are you back? I'm a little embarrassed to realize the situation. But it's impossible for me to treat this kind of child. I'm sorry. I'm a little abrupt. Come back to me when you're done finished bathing. Chaoyang felt disappointed. Are you not interested in me? This is an opportunity that I have worked hard for. What's the use of killing that woman? In this life, I must keep him by my side. Soon the door behind me opened quietly. She is a little shy in her new clothes. Sir, I have already finished the shower. This dress suits you well. It looks so cute. My voice is still calm. But her little face turned even redder. How she used to want to hear that. Come eat with me first. He followed me carefully all the way. But after seeing the main hall, she still couldn't help but exclaim, "The table is full of delicious food that is usually impossible to eat. It hurts me to see him drooling. What are you doing? These are all for you." But I didn't expect this girl to eat a lot. Even the vegetable soup on the table was drunk by her. Maybe it's sensing my surprised expression. Her voice faltered. "Sir, I don't usually have to eat so much. It won't bother you." And I just rubbed her head. Notify the kitchen. In the future, give her this amount of food every day. And so I brought her to the page. This is also where I usually practice. And that should have belonged to the female Emperor Ruoxu. I also explained Chao Yang's hands. If I choose her this time, what kind of power will this exercise exert? She is the heartless empress of the Dang dynasty. But on the day she ascended the throne, she killed her master. But she didn't understand until the moment the country fell. It was she who killed the person who loved her the most with his own hands. She wanted to make up for it all. I don't need that country in my life. I only need to have you. But the man threw away his tight little hand. Instead, he took away the white-haired girl. The girl couldn't believe her eyes. But if you keep it, you can't say it. Looking at the way that man spoils Chaoyang, tears began to flow in her eyes. She cried out the man's name. But the man only left her. I must never lose this life. I want to take back everything that belongs to me from her. But this troubled world has long run out of place for her. She had to hide in a rundown temple in the mountains. At least restore the lost cultivation base first. But the sound outside the door made her wary. The teenager broke in a panic. It was as if he had discovered some treasure. Her figure disappeared in an instant. Next moment, the cold object was attached to the teenager's neck. "Who are you?" Her voice is cold. The boy hurriedly began to explain that my name is Forestry. Both parents died as children. Just happened to travel here. But Ruoxuan, who hears this name? There were ministers in previous lives. I have seen this genius disciple of King Yun's sect named Forestry. It is said that he has a spirit-seeking physique. But at that time, he was rejected by Su Mu. If you use him to find heavenly spirits and earth treasures to improve your cultivation, can I get rid of that demon sooner? Ruoxu threw the sharp branch. Would you like to walk with me for a while? Forestry seemed to have just escaped death. Squeeze out a smile. So we are companions. But the girl just glanced at him proudly. Then it went out of the broken house. Go to Sumo! You wait and I will definitely catch up with you. At the same time, within the palace, I'm injecting Reiki into Chao Yang's body. And I also discovered that she is gifted. The cultivation method given to her before was just for her to comprehend, but this girl really learns very fast. Within a few days, she had mastered the basics. But right now, her face became extremely ugly. A mouthful of blood gushed out of her mouth. The whole person is sluggish. I hurriedly hugged her who was coughing up blood. Someone go and call Dr. Zhang. A little worrying flashed through my heart. Am I going against the influence of history? Fortunately, the doctor reassured me. Although this girl has a heavenly spirit drawn body, but the innate spirit body is incomplete and not suitable for cultivation. The old man's potion can ease the riot in her body, but if you let her go on the road of cultivation, I'm afraid she won't be able to survive this pain. Is there no other way? I am unwilling to ask, unless Master Sumo can find the ancient Yuji Bingu grass. But that thing has never been seen on this continent. It was with great diligence that I sent the imperial physician away. Did you hear what I just said? Xiaoyang suddenly opened his eyes in the quilt. It turned out that she woke up before the two of them talked. Xiaoyang, don't force it. You'll die if you go on like this. Take a good rest these few months. But she lifted the bed brightly. Sir, I am not afraid of pain. Compared to the pain she has suffered, it's nothing. As long as you can help the son, Xiaoyang is willing to do everything. Maybe Xiaoyang was too obedient. Mixed emotions flashed through my heart. I treated Ruoxu the same way in my previous life. But she always likes to play his temper on me. It is completely different from Chaoyang's sunrise in front of me. See me for a long time. She lowered her head in disappointment. But Sumo's voice is gentle. The pollen in this sachet can relieve some of your pain. Come out with me tomorrow morning. Rest early. Soft moonlight shines on the window. But Chaoyang was so excited that he couldn't sleep. She buried his head in the scented pillow. This is the first time he has received a gift from Sumo. It was a warmth he had never felt before. After a moment, she turned over and started. The eyes also twinkled with a hint of firmness. I must persevere. I just arrived in the main hall in the morning. I saw the girl who was overreading at a glance. She looked embarrassed. I was hungry. So I ate more. It's okay for me to smile indifferently. We'll leave when you're done eating. Until she was content. Xiaoyang just her belly and try not to spit it out. My figure flies into the air. As talons get smaller and smaller in our eyes, Chaoyang's eyes is also slowly swinging open in midair. With the memories of my past life, I came to the Jade Dragon Mountains, and in the mystery of this mountain range, there happened to be a Jade Icebone Gross, but Chaoyang has not yet recovered. We immediately heard a noise. A strange sound came. She took my hand harder and harder. But the next moment, a huge monster attacked the two of them. Chaoyang rushed out to shield himself in front of Sumo. But the monster's huge mouth bit towards her position. Is this life? Can I only accompany him here again? She was pulled back by a force, and I just closed my eyes. Eternal reincarnation slowly exits with the 4 characters. The monster's body froze framed in midair. His figure aged rapidly. The next moment, it turned into a handful of dry bones and fell to the ground. And as my cultivation method runs, his skeleton resurfaces. Flesh turned into a complete loss. This is reincarnation Tenjin. Every move contains the power of magical power. I picked the spiritual grass guarded by the demon beast. I'll make this monster for dinner tonight. Chaoyang, who heard this sentence, hold up the tiger's tail. Follow me. And I was shocked. In just a few days, she actually reached the 4th level of Che training. According to the previous imperial doctor, her physical cultivation will only accelerate death. I don't know if she is in the process. How much have you been through painful? Chaoyang is getting ready to eat, but my expression turned serious. Hold your breath and don't make a sound. A few figures passed through the cave. Why are there East Sect disciples here? I looked out next to her head. It stands to reason that there is a crisis here. There are still people. There can be no modification. The warm breath is blowing in the ears of Chaoyang. Her whole face was burning up. And I ignored that. I used to be for Ruaksu. I have also been to the Jade Dragon Mountains. Is it because of my choice? Causing a butterfly effect in the future. In order not to affect my plans, it seems that we can only kill them. At the same time, deep in the dense forests of the mountains, Ruaksu looked at the few streamers in the distance and frowned. Why are there signs of battle here? The blood waves that should have grown here in my memory, and nowhere to be seen. In the last life, he was looking for it. He knew these positions by heart. But now all the resources are gone. She anxiously ran forward. At least I must get the alchemy furnace. Ruaksu girl, where are you going? Forestry was stunned for a moment. Shout out to find a treasure. She suddenly stopped. The red eyes are especially clear in the moonlight. If you're afraid of death, stay here. The morning sun is slowly falling. Chaoyang eyelashes flutter. She also forgot how she lost consciousness. Could it be that I practiced last night? Did you pass out again? But the next moment, the man's voice entered her head. In just a few days, you have already practiced the 6th level of Chen. Only then did he find himself lying in the arms of Sumo. She was so frightened that she quickly bounced. I didn't mean to, but I just sighed. If you keep practicing like this, you will die. His head went down. I just want myself to be useful. Look at her stubborn appearance. There was a flash of sadness in my heart. Ruaksu used to be like this, but why would she betray me? I'm afraid to look her in the eyes. I had to turn my head silently. Let's go, little guy. It's time for us to go. Here you go. I cleared her head. Take this bottle of Kidon when you practice next time. Can ease your pain a little bit. Looking at the small porcelain bottle in her hand, she froze in place. Still that familiar cold feeling. How could she forget? What about the elixir that saved her life in the last life? What are you doing? Hurry up. The man's voice came again from afar. Her lost face. Smile again. Chaoyang sped up and ran forward. Wait for me. Is the alchemy furnace we're looking for important? And she's following me and she doesn't understand. Logically speaking, a good pill furnace is not hard to find, even in his previous life. All from a few alchemists who were disposed of. A few points in hand, and I smiled without explaining. There will be a temporary guard by the pill furnace later. Don't get hurt by them. But the next moment my face looks ugly. Why is there a fight ahead? A giant snake tens of meters, fighting with a boy in red. His clothes leaves cold sweat. This is the spirit of the male protagonist in the original novel. It stands to reason that I have taken away his opportunity. How did this fool find Longtan? But the young man is not the opponent of the snake at all. He was thrown out in a few rounds. There was despair in his eyes. The red figure comes to mind. I'm sorry, Ruaksu. But the next moment, there was a white-robed figure in front of him. You can't even see the man's face. But the reason I shot, I'm not trying to save him. I'm afraid this idiot will destroy the liner of the snake. The demonic beast's sensitive spirit stone made him aware of the danger. The man in front of me is by no means simple. He shines his horns and starts to build up his strength. Forestry on the side is also running. This is the strongest blow of the snake, enough to bring down an entire mountain. But my eyes are still cold. Just no effort, as the shining light engulfs the entire forest. Countless trees, birds, and beasts were also wiped out at this time. The weak pupils of the scaly tongue reveal a touch of dream. After the smoke, but a voice as calm as water sounded. Is this your all-out strike? The boy opened his eyes in surprise. Why did that deep feeling make him so familiar? There is only fear left in the temporary heart. It ran desperately into the distance. But there was a petite girl standing in front of Snake. As a stream rises, its battered body slammed into the wall. But when he saw clearly, when the person who came was just a girl who practiced martial arts insects, its anger also reached its peak. Don't tear you all apart. Xiaoyang's body was flown out by me. The scarlet snake's mouth instantly appeared in front of his eyes. Facing this attack that is too late to dodge, he instinctively put his arms in front of her. But in the next moment, the figure of the scaled tongue quietly escaped. The man in midair just clenched his fist lightly. That huge body. It was torn apart by an invisible force. The girl collapsed limply to the ground. Did I hold him back again? But there was a touch of warmth on her forehead. She looked up blankly. But I saw that the man's eyes were full of heartache. Remember to pay more attention next time. I took a jar of ointment from my arms and applied it to her. You will not leave a scar if you use this. She suddenly became a little shy. Master, I can do it myself. Thanks to you for such a perfect liner. I looked at the jade beads in my palm and fell into memories. I also fought the snake in a previous life. But because of the mistake of Ruoxu, caused the snake to try to self-destruct and drag me into the water. And the snake venom also instantly infected my own inner core. This makes the spiritual general of the inner alchemy. The medicinal pills that have been trained have also become waste. And this time there is Chaoyang. Let the snake relax its vigilance. I had a chance to kill this snake in one blow. Don't get lost. Although I am still expressionless. But behind me, Chaoyang revealed a flower-like smile. Obey the orders of master. At the same time, Forestry is gasping for breath. He went into hiding at the beginning of the battle. At that moment, he saw the man's face clearly. It was in the slums. The prince who took his chance. How could he suddenly appear here? Does he already know about my spirit-seeking physique? He remembered the mysterious girl. Ruoxu is in danger. But right now, a figure appeared in front of him in an instant. Where do you want to go? The man's tone was cold. Take a breath of cold air. Oh, I don't want to go anywhere. But the man just stared into his eyes. What about your companion? Forestry sweat falls from the forehead. I came alone. And the man in front of him just nodded. The sound in the voice doesn't decrease at all. The last question, have you seen East Sect? A plan flashed through the mind of Forestry. He pointed to the west trail and saw. They all ran in that direction. But the man just ignored him. Instead, in the opposite direction, and Sumo walked over. Forestry began to panic. Oh shit, is he going to that cave? Isn't that Ruoxu girl? It turns out that I entered Longtan looking for the memories of my last life. The scene in front of you, but it deviates from my memory. It stands to reason that no one has stepped foot. This matter is all over the sea. These disciples of Leland sect are just spiritual platform mirrors. Why do you dare to set foot in this place guarded by the spirit god? But just as I found the pill furnace, a voice came into my head. Are there still living people here? I look for voices. But at this time, Chaoyang's call for help came from outside the cave. As Sumo rushed east, a petite figure, but gasping for breath behind the stone. Hear that woman's voice. She resisted the urge to go out and meet each other just now. Sure enough, it's that damn witch. Not only did he take Sumo away, now even she is coming to grab it. A few days ago, she used spirituality to find this cave. But as an empress, she has always been pampered. As long as she finds something, she wants to take it for herself. But just after she put all his effort into packing the spiritual treasure, the figure broke in, and now the sacks on the ground are all empty. She can only run towards the trail in the opposite direction. At least get out of this place first. In the forest at the same time, Chaoyang is trapped in a formation. Several people question Chaoyang. Why are you here? I don't know what you're talking about. Chaoyang is in danger. But with her cultivation, but she couldn't break through this formation at all. Sir, all the treasure has been stolen. A disciples came to report. It seems they have been killed. This should be the territory of the horned spirit snake. You are just a 6th level charifiner. Why are you here? Chaoyang grabbed her right fist. I can't trouble my master. But the next moment, her petite body was lifted. I didn't find it just now. You're a pretty little girl. If you don't make things clear here. But don't blame me for making life worse for you. But the next moment, a cold light flew before her eyes. Then he saw his arms soaring high. Chaoyang fell to the ground. All the disciples pulled out their spiritual aura in horror. But the white-robed man in front of him was expressionless. Even released the cage with a wave of his hand. Chaoyang struggled to shake off that half, the arm clutching her throat. Sorry, sir. I'm holding you back again. Angry embellishments swarmed. Kill him! He is a treasure thief. But Sumo's figure didn't move a step. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes. Next moment, and they had a terrible experience. Their bodies actually stopped in midair. And their spiritual power seems to have seen something. Scary stuff. It actually disappeared without a trace from the body. And Chao Yang. But inexplicably flashing huge spiritual pressure. At this time, she was looking at several people with strange expressions. I slowly turned around and said, remember to leave one alive. The girl opened her mouth. Chao Yang jumped up with her body. His bloodthirsty side is also exposed. There were only screams in the jungle. He slowly walked into the last person. Master said, let you stay alive. But he didn't say, let me keep your hands and legs. She is a harmless little loli. Just a dumplings can take her home. But in her previous life, she destroyed the dynasty alone. She looks at her sister with eyes full of fine noodles. You took away all his love. But you killed the person who loved you the most with your own hands. It turns out that I was killed by the Empress who raised me. Reincarnation launched before death. But it took me back in time. Ignore the tears falling from Ruaksu. Me in this life, I firmly chose the white-haired girl. Although she is usually sweet and cute, but I always feel something is wrong. Teenage girl, why is there no pity in your eyes? And killing people is like a routine for her. Chao Yang dragged the enemy. Leave this guy alive. But this leading modification apparently passed out. Chao Yang handed over a few storage bags. This is what she just found on them. But I'm not interested in that. As the water condenses in my hands, shoot straight into the unconscious guy's eyes. The stimulation of the water woke him up immediately. But what catches the eye is the man's indifference. Scary face. I asked you to answer. He backed away frantically. Why should I tell you? But the man in front of him just shouted silently, Chao Yang. The next moment, the girl beside her raised a sharp blade. Remember the tragic situation of my previous classmates. He immediately began to kneel and beg for mercy. We are the disciples of Leland sect. I was ordered by the Blessed One a few days ago. Come to find the secret of Yulin Mountain. But when I heard the name, I was taken aback. Where did you get this information from? That disciple was terrified. It was a message from an elder in the ivy. Senior, I only know so much. His eyes were full of horror. I promise I won't say it, but I just threw him out, sorry. Only the dead keep secrets. With a dazzling flash of light, his body instantly turned into dust and drifted away in the wind, and Chaoyan on the side has no mercy in her eyes. I tapped her on the shoulder, we should go. But I just walked. A boy in red can't hold on. Fell from the tree. It turned out that with the help of Ruaksu's secret method, the two listened to the previous conversation completely. Her angry hammer 10 arms Cloud Forest secret realm. What is that place? Sumo, that guy didn't expect to hide something from me. Ruaksu showed hatred. I'm getting more and more annoyed. Blame this damn witch. Let's follow and have a look. I must cut her into pieces. At the same time, inside the cave, I am controlling the pill furnace I found from the dragon pool. Refining medicine requires solidifying one's soul power, but my mind has been unable to calm down, although I have never seen this pill furnace. But the elixir that saves her life every time are all refined from it. Her expression was completely different from the past. Make my heart hurt again. I hope we never see each other again in this life. And this is the moment. The sound of footsteps disturbed my thoughts. Chaoyang holding hairs in her hands. Come towards me. She's very good at this. Sprinkle with spices. Put the ingredients passed through the stick-on. Looking at the campfire, I felt a little sad. Chao Yang's like seeing through my heart. She asked in a low voice. Master seems confused. Chao Yang asked. The white head looks particularly lovely under the light of the fire. I nod silently. Yeah. It's just that there are some problems that I haven't figured out for the time being. Her voice paused. I did gather some information outside. According to them, the disciples of the three sects are approaching the secret realm. The three sect masters also visited the Jade Dragon Mountains in person. It is said that they went out in search of a jade pendant. After learning that the jade pendant has changed hands, the various temples began to move. I instantly understood the ins and outs. It seems that all because I took away the opportunity of forestry. The resulting butterfly effect. As I thought about it, my stomach started growling. It seems that my spiritual power has been consumed too much these days. But the next moment, there's a rabbit leg stuck in my mouth. There was a hint of shyness on the girl's fair face. Do you like the taste? Obviously a witch without feelings. But she fell in love with this man, the prince who once left her. Looking at the sleeping man in front of you, she had images of the past in his mind. The man took the red-haired girl away. And she can only continue to endure inhuman abuse. Years of wandering made her a witch who swore to kill. When we met again, she was not the same as before. Sir, I have become very strong. Can you give me a little more look? But the man saw her as a threat to the dynasty. From now on, she will not be allowed to step into the imperial city again. But in the end, the man was killed by the empress he raised. Fortunately, God gave him a chance to be reborn. But to her surprise, the men of this life no longer pay attention to Ruoxu. Instead, I doted on him. Watching the butterflies flying on the tip of the nose, she couldn't help but put his face together. Go up if this is a dream. I would like to never wake up. But the next moment, Sumo suddenly opened his eyes, and Chaoyang was horrified. Sir, I didn't mean that. And Sumo just turned my head silently. I feels. This girl seems to have some unspeakable feelings for me. But the most important thing at the moment is this pill. After all, she was born with a broken constitution. According to the imperial doctor, the essence of this dragon blood grass, maybe it will delay her illness. As my finger taps, a gentle force gently lifted the lid of the furnace. Immortal mist soon filled the entire cave. Just a sniff. You can feel that your cultivation is just around the corner. As expected of a 6th grade blood pill, the effect is so overbearing. Look at the yellow pills in my hand. I was lost in thought. This is not my first time refining pills. In my previous life, I also took great care to refine a batch. But Ruoxu thought the pill was too bitter, and asked me to tell him a story before I was willing to accept it. But the sword that was originally found for her, finally it was aimed at my heart. I sighed silently. He casually gave the remaining medicinal pills to Chaoyang. The girl gets a little overwhelmed. She stared at my pills with wide eyes. This pill is too precious. I can't take it. And I just stroked her head. This is for you. Bring she back to her senses. I slept on the floor again. With my current body, the consumption of refining medicine is huge. There are still 8 days before the secret realm opens. That group of sect is estimated to have arrived by now. The past only increased the risk, and the girl also showed a determined look. She must be within these 8 days. Enhance your strength as soon as possible. But now, her stomach growled in disappointment. Master, he shouldn't think I eat too much, right? Seeing the man on the side no longer move, she picked up the remaining rabbit meat again and devoured it. At least mention it again. Raise a few levels. Meanwhile, the dense forests on the eastern side of the Jade Dragon Mountains. It has been cleaned up as a shield. Thousands of sect disciples have already assembled here. And in front of them, there is an unusual smell. An elder was delighted. I didn't expect this cloud forest secret realm. We really found it. But a white old man looked embarrassed. If it is found by the prince, what are we going to do about it? The leading man issued a cold warning. The fate of the Dang dynasty has been joined by our 3 sects. Even in the face of the imperial army, we has the power to fight. Let him, a prince, not be able to make any waves. The treasures in this secret realm, we can distinguish them. At that time, the strength of the sect will greatly increase. The little country must be trampled on by us. Meanwhile, Chaoyang finally woke up. Her head hurts. I didn't expect it to be 8 days, but the man in front of him didn't move at all. Maybe it's because of the physique. Hunger hit her again. But she didn't dare to rashly interrupt my cultivation state. Let's find something to eat first. She just came out of the cave, but the sound of the jungle shaking suddenly appeared in her ears. Don't wait for her to react. A whole body. A dark leopard appeared from behind her. But this time Chaoyang did not dodge. Instead, she gathers his strength in the palm of her hand. Black Panther let out an unwilling roar, but the girl gave a devilish smile. A leopard this big should be full, right? With a dazzling flash of light. This leopard who was killed on the spot. She clapped her little hands in surprise. 8 days of practice. It actually raised her realm to the drama soul realm. Master's medicinal pills are really powerful. But when she returns to the cave, she realized that Sumo hadn't woken up yet. You won't encounter any bottlenecks, will you? She stared at the man's face for a long time. This life, it must belong to me. And another secret entrance. 3 sect disciples have surrounded. Everyone is ready to stare at the space entrance. But there are 2 figures that are far away from the crowd. I didn't expect to get in this way. Ruoxu stepped on the forest leaves. Why are you so loud? Don't drag me if you want to die. There was a gleam in his eye. But it's time for you to make a difference later. The white-haired witch who once destroyed the world. Now it has become a well-behaved lowly in the arms of a man. It is completely different from the grievances of the previous life. She doesn't need to endure it anymore. Abused by those who are inhuman. You can see the crowd gathered at the entrance of the honey essence. His expression gradually became solemn. A red figure made her particularly familiar. That was the Empress Ruoxu who killed Sumo in her previous life. But she should have been abandoned by the master. Why is it still here? At the same time, Ruoxu's heart is also the book of changes. Somewhere, it felt like someone was looking towards her. I was in a state of cultivation, leisurely transforming. I just looked up. I saw a shy girl. She explained to me hesitantly. I didn't mean to take advantage of Master. But what she doesn't know is, although I am in a state of cultivation, I am aware of everything that's happening outside. I didn't say anything, just stroked her head. The secret realm will open soon. We have to go quickly. And the three people on the other side have already gathered, looking at the space entrance that is no longer changing wildly in front of you. Sect Master Lei was delighted. It seems that this ancient correct method is nothing more than that. Shoot together with the three. A vast aura shot straight to the sky. On the other side, I frowned slightly. Obviously, if it is in my hands, I didn't expect that this secret realm could still be used by them. Forcibly break open. But the next moment, a trace of coldness flashed in my eyes. It is not easy to forcibly tear space apart. And it's very expensive. When these three sect masters swim into the lamp cave, I might still have a chance to make a sneak attack. Since I'm not the main character in the book, then I'm going to follow the villain to the end. As I jumped up, Xiaoyang tried to hold onto my floating clothes, but he seems completely can't adapt to this high-speed flight. I just had to take her in my arms and hold on tight. The little guy fell and I can't control you. Feel sumo are all chests. She couldn't help but hug me tighter. I haven't waited for him to react yet. I turn into a streamer, heading towards the Secret Realm newspaper office. The entrance to the Secret Realm at this time. Finally resist. The joint suppression of the three sect masters. With a loud bang, a crack appeared in the indestructible formation. I sighed in midair. I didn't expect it to be a step late, and now there's no chance for me to make a move. Just cover me and Xiaoyang. Under the cover of this layer of spiritual power, even if their cultivation is profound. But I was still taken aback by the lucky seals they threw. Such a precious space-fixing talisman can be used as it is said. It seems they are determined to eat this secret realm, but I'm very calm. With the memories of past lives, I can make sure they have regrets in this. With the order of the leading man, a group of black-clothed disciples entered, and behind them, with so many thousands of people, Ruoxu mixed in the crowd. The chest of the spirit liquid suddenly dropped. Let's hurry up and follow them. But just as he was about to enter the formation, an inexplicable meaning rose from his heart. That terrifying feeling made him seem familiar. No less than the day her country was destroyed. Is it that damn witch? But when he looked up at the sky, but I saw the plain blue sky and white clouds. Is it my delusion? She's not hesitating. Ruoxu straight towards the entrance. Xiaoyang at the same time. But she stole a glance at Sumo. The killing intent just now came from her heart. If there is no Sumo, you are nothing. Why can I only be spurned by everyone? Once he treated you like this, and you're going to send him to hell with your own hands. Seeing that the man doesn't respond, she also took a quiet breath this life. I won't let you come any closer to Master. Dade's last disciple steps into the secret realm. The three who have been maintaining the space gap. Also a nurse. A glance at the opportunity in this secret realm. We're all on our own. You can walk on the last side of Kangshan. But there was a sneer. Let's wait and see to immortals. With their figures disappearing into the gap. The space that had been shaped began to twist again. I fell from the sky with Xiaoyang. This entrance is like a door fly, constantly breathing black light. If there's no cultivation of the purple auxiliary mirror, I'm afraid I can't even touch the substance. Sir, how do we get in? The girl has some doubts, but I just felt in my pocket. Don't be so troublesome. We have the key. Don't run around when you enter the secret realm. And I took her hand. Hold on tight, I understand. But the rising sun in the midst of adversity, I kind of forgot about it. The scene in front of you, it made her feel like he was in another world. It's not as dark and eerie as you might imagine. It's an ancient forest filled with Reiki everywhere. But don't wait for her to express his emotion. And I pulled hair up. This secret realm is divided into 9 layers. And we're only on the first floor. Want to enter the next level? It is necessary to know where the so-called door is, but the location of all the doors has long been known to me. But then I suddenly braked. The people of the 3 sects appeared scattered. Their goal, it's actually looking for a portal to reach the next level. If you continue to cast flying spells, you will be discovered sooner or later. Now, I don't want to fight them hard. Getting that treasure in advance is the point, hidden in the post-operative sunrise. Just wanted to remind the man of something, but the next moment, the man covered his mouth and didn't speak. There's someone coming.